What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a review of album number 2 by rapper-producer combo Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. This Unruly Mess I've Made. Wow. What an album title. There's so much to live up to after saying that. You think it's just going to be so many different directions. You're not going to know where Macklemore is pulled. And it does kind of play out. It's kind of an ironic title considering it plays out like a string of toys spread throughout the room and a child doesn't know which one to give attention to. So you just kind of go here, you go there, you see, okay, we like a little bit more of a silly but fun song, lighthearted of course. Then you get the one that gets the discussion going, and I can't help but feel that Macklemore and Ryan Lewis played it safe with this record, even though I'm having fun with it. I'm gonna say that. I like a lot of this album, but at the same time, it feels like it's a very close cousin of the Heist. Now, you're probably thinking, John, it's Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. Obviously, it's gonna sound kind of similar, but it shouldn't feel the same. It's like it starts off with a similar type track. Of course, this time we have Light Tunnels featuring Mike Slap, which is a really, really good song. Enjoying the commentary on award shows and that sort of thing. I agree with what Macklemore is saying there. Bunch of bullshit, but of course it kicks off with 10,000 Hours on the Heist, another song that kind of talks about his place in the industry, and I feel like he's replicated that on this new record. He's got a silly song like Thrift Shop and then Downtown, which I don't think is just a silly throwaway, toss-away track. It's a really fun tune that I have done a complete 180 on. That's right, flashing red light alert, John likes Downtown now. Because as I sat and listened to this album like 6 or 7 times, I was thinking, you know what? How was I denying this? How was I denying myself the fun that is Downtown? So what it's messy, so what it's chaotic, so what there's like 6 different parts to the song. I love the hook. I love Macklemore's flow on this track. He is a skilled MC, and that is one thing I will defend until the end of the day, regardless of how much I might not like some of these tracks. No more comparisons to The Heist. I just wanted to put that out there right up front. Let's just talk about the new record, this Unruly Mess I've Made. Macklemore seems like he wants to get a little bit more personal with us, letting us in on certain things on this album. I will say that. And then Ryan Lewis stepped it up a little bit more modern with his technique this time around for the production. I'm seeing more danceable and electronic beats, whereas it was a little bit more bare bones and skeletal the first time around. Definitely not saying that there weren't any bangers on that record, The Heist, because that's just not true. But this time around, I feel like he's kind of refined it and is giving us something a little bit refreshing in the beat department. I can definitely appreciate that. Let's go ahead and immediately shove the elephant out of the room. There's some gimmicky and cheesy tracks on here that I just don't care about. I don't give a rat's ass about things like Dance Off or Let's Eat, in particular, the worst song on this record. Macklemore just trying to ham it up for the camera, basically, and playing like, oh, I'm this fun rapper. Something that he almost kind of contradicts and seems to resent in White Privilege too, talking about how a mother comes up to him and says, you're the only rapper that I let my son listen to. You get it. It's not all about violence and drugs and sex and hoes. And I get that. I love that about Macklemore, the fact that he actually has something else to say. But on tracks like Let's Eat, it almost seems like he's trying to be the rap version of Weird Al Yankovic, and it just doesn't work well for him. Things take a turn for the serious right in the middle of this record, getting tracks like Kevin talking about his brother, which is just kind of a heartbreaking tune to hear. It's one that sees the loss of a brother, a friend, to this addiction and just being overcome by these drugs that were in his system, saying it was just, you know, a minor habit, and then it eventually consumes him. And I like Macklemore getting a little bit more aggressive and almost like panicking whenever he's getting out some of his rhymes here. Leon Bridges comes in and absolutely nails the hook on this thing, and I have to commend Macklemore for not only bringing him on, but just a nice collection of guests that you might not expect. He does a good job of bringing on people that need to get in the spotlight more, people that you might not know, and maybe you'll check out more of their stuff as a result. You've got, of course, Leon Bridges, like I just mentioned, Chance the Rapper, someone that I have been enjoying a whole lot more as of late. And then, of course, you've got Eric Nolly from Foxy Suzanne, Shazam, and then of course Grandmaster Caz, Ed Sheeran, Jamila Woods. There's a lot of names here and a lot of people that did great jobs with their features, and even XP on the 2 tracks he was featured on. Can't say I've really been a fan of YG in the past, but I do like his feature on the track Bolo Tie, which I initially thought, oh god, I was reading through the track listing and I was like, is this going to be another really silly song about him going thrift shopping and finding a bolo tie, and then chaos ensues as a result. It wasn't that at all. It was actually Macklemore and YG kind of defending their place in the music industry, and I like the stance that they take, especially on the hook of this thing, and I like how they kind of rotate who handles the hook of the track. It's them basically saying, hey, we're taking our time. So what? It's been a while since we put out studio material. Just because we're staying silent, it doesn't mean that we're not actively in the studio writing things. Some of these tunes just feel a little bit mediocre and middle of the road to me. One's like Buckshot. I like the bass on that track, and I kind of like the intensity of it, but at the same time, it just feels long, even though it's 3.5 minutes. And then Growing Up, a song for his daughter, which features Ed Sheeran, it just feels so basic and limited because I've heard it so many times before, and I don't doubt that it means a ton to him personally. It's just that I can't say that I feel any real connection to it whatsoever. The Train featuring Carla Morrison just underwhelms as well. It's just a very quiet and soft-spoken tune that has a voice, it has something that it wants to say, but it doesn't get it across in any entertaining way whatsoever. For me, it's just kind of like hitting the snooze button, rolling over and going back to sleep after getting up for that YG feature. There's a really nice guitar part on the track St. Ides, which just adds a melancholy feel to this record. I think it absolutely kind of nailed what Macklemore was missing on a couple of the tracks surrounding it that just didn't work out as well, I don't think. But this one has pretty much everything. It's got Macklemore getting his point across. He's definitely an outspoken individual. We've seen it in the past, and he likes to comment on social issues, and I don't mind that at all, although it does feel a little bit forced at times, but this is one of those tracks where it comes in and it feels natural. White Privilege 2 is the main track where I'm noticing Macklemore with a voice. Obviously, this is a buzz track that a lot of people are discussing and talking. How do we feel about it? Do we feel white guilt? Did we steal from black culture? Absolutely. We've borrowed, stolen, whatever you want to call it. We've stolen so many things from black culture. And how do we feel about it? What do we do? Do we talk about it, or do we go out and do something about it? And this is Macklemore feeling guilty, I feel like, for not doing more, for just sitting idly by and just watching stuff happen. Black Lives Matter, but what is he doing to change that? He has a platform now that he's more successful, and he discusses that on Light Tunnels as well. And I like hearing him basically think out loud to us, the listeners. And I can't say that I agree with necessarily every single word out of his mouth, but he definitely brings up good points. Let's send things out on a positive note though, because there's one last song I want to talk about that I absolutely love, and that is Brad Pitt's Cousin. This song is not only hilarious, but just insanely infectious. The hook on this thing alone is just gonna get stuck in your head for days. Booming and thundering bass just envelops you and takes you into this song deep. And I love Macklemore on this track. He's just such a personality. It's not all just laughs though, because it sees Macklemore just basically taking the reins. He uses the guise of it being just kind of a fun song, but he actually talks about like, hey, I have to take control of my career. It's not just gonna happen for me just like that. He talks about texting God and God texting back. Hey, you gotta do it on your own, buddy. So he grabs the reins of life and just dives into it. It's disguised as a fun song, and it is a very uplifting and upbeat and energetic tune. It's got a little bit of everything, and I think that's why I love it so much. I'm pretty split on this record, kind of almost right down the middle. I mean, there's elements of tracks that I like, there's ones that don't work, and then there's a few tracks that just flat out don't do much for me, and they feel like they're playing off Macklemore's past successes and not pushing the bar at all. I wanted it to be raised, but it feels like it just kind of stayed the same. So I can't give more than a 3.5, a light one at that, to this Unruly Mess I've Made. If you've heard the long-awaited album by Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, let me know your thoughts on it in the comments section down below. I hope you enjoyed my review of the album. Of course, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, because friends don't let friends go unsubscribed. Don't forget to watch my last review or check out my second channel. The links are floating there in the annotations for you to click, or else the links are in the description down below, along with my Twitter, Facebook, all my other social media links. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys very soon right here on ARTV.